travelled from the Geary to Deeside, and I have to say I can't think of a better pit stop as we very much take a wee minute to take in the breathtaking scenery of Royal Deeside. And who does not love cheese? So I'm really excited. I've been a big fan of the Cambus O'May Cheese Company. They're on the menu at Eat on the Green today as I speak, gearing up for the weekend. But it's an absolute pleasure to maybe have a wee chat and, of course, ask the question. And I'm sure they'll know the answer, but I've asked it everywhere. What time did you yoke the day?
Oh, that'd be at 7 o'clock this morning.
At 7 o'clock, you are not our early morning or the earliest morning yoker. What time did you yoke a day?
I was here at 8.
8 o'clock. Excellent. So, Alex, give us a snapshot of what the Cambus O'May Cheese Company is about, when it started, where the passion came from, and what you are today.
Yeah. Well, first of all, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Delighted to welcome you here, Craig. Yeah, this is the Cambus O'May Cheese Company. This is where we're recreating the cheeses of yesteryear, the cheeses that I grew up as a boy on the farm and would make with Mum on her apron strings. Somebody used to say I learned how to make cheese, and then unfortunately cheese making stopped. In the 70s with milk marketing boards, with EU regulations coming in.
I'm learning this because a lot of the kind of downturn of the dairy, other industries took off. Really. So sorry.
Yeah. So and I went off to do other things. There was 2 farms, 3 brothers. I was the middle one. I went off to do something else, oil and gas, and round the world. And I was always thinking, it would be really nice to be making Mum's cheese again, and making that farmhouse cheese that was.
And it is great cheese, may I say. It really is.
Yeah. So about 13, 14 years ago, me and Mum took a recipe book down to Reese Heath Dairy College and basically hired it for a week and recreated all the recipes, not on the cooker, on the Eiger cooker type thing, but in a big cheese vat.
I'm there. I'm very much there.
You get it. And then we took those cheeses to Boyne Highland Games, and we sold all the cheese in an afternoon at Boyne Highland Games to tourists, to retired farmers, to local people, and very much got the feedback that just like Mither used to make times, just like Jeannie used to make.
I think the world can be sorted out in Deeside, put whiskey on the table, get round it, add some cheese, and, conversation and ideas. I've spoke to people that have said they've kind of followed their dream. I've been to the likes of Dean's Shortbread, where it was about playing in the pipe band. That's how they started, raising a bit of money, to support a pipe band. Oh, I like your shortbread. Oh, can I get more? These stories are probably under-celebrated. And, what you are here are absolute food heroes with an amazing story, an honest, down-to-earth story. And, I think we feel very, very lucky to have the determination and the hard work.
Nice.
And of course, the cheese is great, which is just a real bonus.
Of course, we're making it with the same recipes. It's still made with raw milk. It's handmade, as you've seen in the creamery. We're not quite using the old cheese presses.
No,
we're not allowed to use them anymore. So that bit of it is mechanised, but everything else to the cheese cellars, which it was an old railway carriage cheese cellar we had in the farm, in the darkest, dampest part of the farm. Here we've recreated this with cheese cellars with temperature and humidity control, which recreates that maturing process as well. But the same wooden shelves stacked with cheeses that you would have seen in the old railway carriage.
And I love the names. I mean, we've got some of the names here. Cambus O'May, Loch Nagar, Laragrew, Old Reekie. I'm sure the macaroni cheese here is to absolutely die for. And I have to ask, what's your personal favourite and why?
So the Aldriki and venison salami toasty here it is universal. Me and my two boys, that's our go-to toasty when we're here. We do a really good croque monsieur as well. We get ham from the local butcher here. Sheridan's the famous butcher here,
Of course.
in Ballater. So the croque monsieur is a very popular dish as well, and ice cream as well. So we're using we've got our own ice cream here as well. But well, if you're looking for something special, the Aldriki, which is a Larragoose cheese, which we smoke here, and we do it specifically for Mellis down in Edinburgh, hence the name Aldriki. And that's why we broke from using landmarks here, because he'd asked for a specific smoked cheese. And that's my favourite job here as well. We take whiskey barrel shavings to do the cold smoke, and that's a nice job in its own right. Yeah.
Well, I was visiting the whiskey hammer Still Spirit just near Udney there, and I gave them quite a special breakfast. I did smoked oats with whiskey smoked oats with the Rora yogurt and the sizzled up some berries and some whiskey, and puffed in the smoke to the dome at the last minute. I tell you one thing, it's a nice way to start. Nice way to start the day.
Yeah.
Listen, I wish you continued success. Ian, you are obviously instrumental in keeping everything going. What has been your biggest challenge over the years to kind of keep the love of cheese going?
That is an enormous question.
It is.
In developing the sales of the company and getting the message out there of what good cheese really tastes like, that is a continual battle. And we have the visitor centre here now, and that really is helping towards that. That's bringing people in. They're tasting the cheese. They're going away with the cheese to buy it, and once they bought it once, they will buy it again.
Of course,
they'll learn what cheese really does taste like.
Yeah,
and it's like anything. You can buy something basic and processed and batch made, or you can buy something that someone's taken a bit of care on.
Yeah,
and you always see the difference. And it's getting that message across.
I think, as far from a chef's perspective, cheese has got so many different ways to go in cookery now. So whether you've got a crust, a crumb, toss. People make salads well, and what I love about the cheese the most, and I'm not just saying this, I like the fact that it's like a drier kind of feel, and that it does crumble particularly well. And also, if you were kind of tossing it around a salad, you really get the cheese doesn't sit on it; it goes through it. And I just think it's great.
That's because it's properly made.
Of course.
And it's made in the traditional way. And the textures we're producing are the traditional textures. And I think people have said that to us before. It is like it was. And therefore you can use it like it was.
Yeah. And I think, I'm discovering that the traditional methods, like the shortbread, where they're saying, yes, we're making it bigger, but it is still very much being kind of, mixed in a bigger bowl. And I think that there needs to be a little bit more understanding and respect to don't change it. The recipe that you went back to, it's not by accident. Why you use a certain amount and you use thing in a certain way. I remember being taught how to make scones by my grandma, and she said, they have to be light and free. And, that was just two simple words, but, there's scones and scones. So, Excellent. Well, I'm going in to taste some cheese, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Listen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I know
Great, thanks.
you will go from strength to strength, and of course, you will get people appreciating your cheese on the world stage. Here in Aberdeenshire. Thank you.
Thank you.
So much. So once you taste the cheese, you basically just want to come back for more. There is the menu is all about cheese. It's full of flavour, and now we know the story. It's about traditional values. It very much says where we are, and this is Ardmore, and it is really crumbly, deep, full flavour, and yeah. There's going to be lots and lots of cheesy smiles. So we're just passing the Cambus O'May Bridge, which is a fairly spectacular backdrop of Deeside here. I always feel when I'm driving through here, everything just seems to soften. The colours of the trees, everything seems quite sheltered, but certainly all the places that we are dropping in on, they really are, they can't hide their passion. I love the fact that we are finding out a little bit more of why the food producers are now doing what they do, and it's steeped in history. I think we should probably tell it a bit more. The mother and the grandmother features a lot regarding the ancient recipes, and I think there's this feeling that they want to hold on to it, and whether that be cheese, shortbread, dairy farming, fish, traditional methods, I think it's something we should just really celebrate and be unashamed. To us, coming from Aberdeenshire, we may think it's not a particularly interesting story, but it is. It so is. Hidden in the wee corner, again surrounded by Aberdeenshire hills, we've got the Lost Loch Spirits Craft, contract distillers, tours and school shop. Sounds good. Let's go and have a wee look. Well, as I near end of my Aberdeenshire road trip, I really can't think of a nicer place to reflect, have a nice gin, and yeah, just take the whole thing in of how lucky we are here in Aberdeenshire. Jan, thank you very much for opening the door today. Delighted to be back here in the gorgeous Deeside. Isn't it just lovely?
It is lovely, and it's fantastic to see you here today, Greg.
Thank you.
At Lost Loch Distillery.
I think the thing that I've taken from a wee tour is we just don't make enough time for maybe the right things, the right places. And I'm learning as I go, you know. I'm from this area, and there's a lot of nooks and crannies that are just gems. And I'm also finding there are people from all over the world that can't hide their excitement, appreciation, and they just want more. They just want more. They want more of the stories, you know, where, what, why. And, you know, we're quite good at signposting around here, but I've always said, like, you can, you know, you sit around a table, yeah, the gin helps, but with food, the right people, you know, you just kind of don't want to leave.
Yeah.
It's that Scottish hug that we're a little bit worried about, maybe being over familiar at times, but yeah, I think it confirms that we do undersell our brilliance.
I think for sure, yeah. We've definitely seen people come back to the distillery, and we've had more tours. We've had people from abroad this year, which is really nice to see people coming back. We've had a few coach tours, and lots of local people who discovered us during lockdown. So it was really, so we've had people on spirit schools from Sweden, Belgium, and it's fantastic because we're able to distill on these stills here. People are able to make their own gins, their own creations, a bit like you did yourself, and
well,
then take them away.
Of course, the last time I was here, I was getting all excited about putting my bottles into the boxes and getting them out as we launched our Taste of Grampian, which is a real celebration of the greatness of Aberdeen and Shire's food and drink scene. We're here at Lost Loch, and I suppose we very much want to take time to understand why the guys that own this, why they had the time, where their passion came from, and I know they're very, very lucky to have you, Jan.
Why, thank you.
And we've got a couple of bottles here.
Yeah, so the first product, so when Rich and Pete met over a pint, is so often the case, Pete's family were already making the harouche in their sheds. Every year in September, they would go and pick the brambles, and then they would lay them down with whiskey, because his uncle worked for Tom and Toole Distillery. And
we picked brambles yesterday, actually.
Yeah, so they're on the bushes at the moment, and then they would add honey, and then at Christmas time, they would bottle it. At the time, it wasn't really called anything. It was just a family brew. But then when Rich and Pete decided to take it to market, they decided to call it harouche, which is an old Scots word for a high-spirited or disorderly gathering.
Love it, love it.
And it's just whiskey, brambles and honey, and it's dipped in wax 3 times, beeswax. So we do all that by hand.
Wow.
And it's 50%, sorry, not 50%, it's 25%.
You got me very excited. I almost kind of was burning through the wax when you said 50%. Yeah.
It's 25%, so it's more like a port, but it's also really nice with Prosecco in it.
I'll be buying a bottle of that.
And then they discovered that no one in Scotland was making an absinthe. So maybe for good reason, but they decided to make mermican, which is an old Scots word for a wicked fairy. And that's the opposite end of the scale. That's 64%.
I'll have a bottle of that as well.
It is.
It's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's fairly stereotypical when we say, oh, people want to know the story, but it just makes it so much more interesting.
It does.
And if you're, I think if you're already excited to be in the area for the first time, you add a story, and you're just going to add to the excitement, really.
Yeah, I mean, we had people in here from Canada yesterday, so I was telling them that the artwork on Inu, so there's a kind of a double meaning for Inu. So it's as in it's time for gin Inu, which is a kind of local way of saying just now. But also there was an Inuit who came to Royal Deeside in the 1850s on a whaling ship, and he spent about 6 months here And then when he went back, one of the locals wrote a story about him. So Pete and Rich were so inspired by that story that the artwork is a puffin and two cranes, which often appear in Inuit artwork. And they're having a little dance at the bottom, and it says it's always time for gin, and that's a wee hourglass. I thought it was a bikini when I first came, but it's
Love
not.
it. And beautifully colour coordinated with your nails, may I
Oh, why,
say.
thank you. And it's distilled with local berries, honey, heather flowers, and rose hips.
Brilliant.
So, and you've just been having a wee
Well,
taster of
I
it.
tell you, it's definitely a perfect gin o'clock for me. I am not driving from now on, but I've asked everyone that I've met, I think, and I'm going to put you to the test, Jan. What time did you yoke the day? Do you know what that means?
I do. I think I know what it means. Does it mean break? No.
It's
Like
what
lunch
time-
break.
No,
No.
close.
Close but no
So,
cigar.
it's a real kind of Doric.
Yeah.
What time did you get up?
Or did you get up?
So what time did you yoke the day, Jan?
7:30. Not too early.
Not too bad. You're not my early morning yoker, but you're certainly in the early slot. So I've taught you something.
Well, thank you.
And the yoker, I like it. It's just it makes perfect sense. And I'm told it's something to do with horses.
Yeah, the yoke, the thing on the.
So as this place doubles up as a gin school, it's also I've taught you something. So back at school day.
Fair exchange.
So lovely products. As you can see here, this is an experience here in Aberdeenshire where you can come to learn a bit more about the whole distilling experience. If you feel flush and you want to actually have your own bottle, that can also be done.
It can be.
What else happens in general?
So we make gin, rum, vodka, and absinthe. We don't make whiskey yet, but there's plans for that in the future.
Okay.
And we do tours and tastings, which are an hour and a half, and we show you around the distillery. It's not very big, but it's very interesting. And then you can taste all of our products. And we're also contract distillers, as Craig said. So we make more than 30 products for other people. Plus, you can come here for the day and make your own gin or rum, and you can name it yourself.
And I've told loads of people about that. And of course, you may see it as not that exciting, but this is the gin, rum, and vodka
And
kitchen. This is the kitchen.
Yeah.
So this is where it's made, and there is lots of machines and
Lots of
tanks
machines.
that I have absolutely no idea what is happening.
So this over here is the still. This is where we do most of the distilling. And you'll see it's a stainless steel still rather than a copper still. But this column here is packed with copper springs. So that brings the copper to the distilling process.
Quite an important part of the
Very,
whole,
very
the whole
important.
thing.
And that still over there is a 50-litre still. That's the biggest copper still that we've got. But we use that for absinthe exclusively because absinthe is so strong, it taints everything it's in. So it's kind of, we call it a diva spirit. It needs its own stuff.
It's kind of like the most exciting laboratory that you ever have been in. I just think it's wonderful, and I would just say, pass on my thanks, and thanks to you for being so passionate in Aberdeenshire. Of course, when you're surrounded by arguably the most beautiful part of Scotland. It certainly has flavours and uniqueness that you can't help but fall in love with. And this is only my second visit. I know it won't be my last.
I was going to say, I feel sure you'll be back.
I think I'll be back. So thank you, Jan. Keep keeping the passion here. in Deeside, and I think there is an exciting new chapter.
Well, there is. We've got a huge still there, 4 times the size. So that's our future.
So this is the future.
It's not connected up yet, but it will be.
Wonderful. This is the next chapter of Lost Loch Distillery here in Deeside, and it's certainly got bags and bags of passion. And if I could only try to explain the smell of, well, the botanicals, really.
Well, it's absinthe, probably you can smell.
Oh, right, okay, it's
It's
absinthe.
the botanicals that go into that.
Yeah.
Kind of aniseedy, fennel, sweet.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, thank you very much. Can't wait to come back. Well, really enjoyed that. Now, off to Aberdeenshire Highland cattle. Okay, so I'm gearing up to which I see is putting Aberdeenshire on a plate with all the right things. And I almost forgot to pick up some butteries. Some people say around here, rowies. And what more can I ask from a baker that has served the Northeast well over the last many, many years. My dad worked for them for almost 40 years, so I'm going to go and pass J.G. Ross for some butteries before I head up to see Grace and that lovely Highland coos.